This is Be Courageous with Tony Barton on Watch Kansas. First, let me say thank you to all of you who watched and gave me feedback on the new format. I really appreciate your kind words, insight, and your advice. If you'd like to contact me, you can email me at tony.barton@thecourageous1.com. I'll read all your emails, and some I will share on upcoming programs. I discussed current issues in episode 7, and I'll be doing follow-up on these issues later. Critical race theory, which is being imposed on every facet of society, cancer culture, wokeness. But today I want to talk about the other issue that we're all going through, COVID-19, mask wearing, and the vaccines that we are being told to get now, right now. Wasn't that opening video funny? Although there is some truth in what she's saying, this whole COVID thing is confusing. We go from no mask to one mask for a year, and now we're being told to double up. Instead of 1 or 2 vaccine injections, we're now finding out that Bill Gates has said we may need 3. 3? Really? There are people like me who are concerned about receiving 1 injection, let alone 3. And with this vaccine push comes the pressure to just do it. Don't hesitate, vaccinate. That's all we are told to do is get the vaccine. Did you get your shot yet? How many times have you been asked that? Dr. Fauci, get the life-saving vaccine. Go, run, get it now. Wait a minute. Why? I have questions before I ever allow anyone to give me an injection and do it just because you say so. No way. We're told it's safe. Well, what's in it? And what are the side effects? What tests have been done? After taking it, what are the short and long-term after effects? Do we know? Is the vaccine reversible? The answer to that one is no. Once you got it, it's permanent. Why is it that we only get to hear from those who are pushing the vaccine? Why do we have to dig to find the views of opposing medical professionals? Why, when we do find a doctor or a scientist who speak of any concern, they're called deniers, or they just don't know what they're talking about, expert or otherwise? Shouldn't we hear all sides? Have all the information before we run out and inject our bodies with some experimental vaccine? Isn't it our responsibility to make the best decision we can based on all the information? Once it's done, there's no going back. Why wouldn't we want to know everything we can before considering being a part of this grand experiment? Why are we not just given all the details, the good, the bad, and the ugly? You know, if you smoke, you're given the warning, cigarette smoking may be hazardous to your health. That's on the side of the pack. If you drink, you're warned of the potential physical and mental health problems and not to drink and drive. And speaking of driving, once inside the vehicle, most often before the car even moves, what do? Put on that seatbelt. Why? Because we know for the most part they save lives. There is plenty of data that makes the case. In all these instances, one thing is paramount. We have information and we get to choose. You can probably think of other things as well. How about before surgery? Buying a house, a car. You're going to get all the information you can before choosing. Does the roof leak? How many miles are on that car? Regular oil changes? Why don't we have the right to know more about what we are injecting in our bodies beforehand? Why is even asking questions about the vaccine or bringing in an opposing view that doesn't fit the narrative, why is that a problem? This all makes me very curious and concerned. So again, I ask the question, why? Why? That is the question of the day.
Yes, it is, Tony. Why?
Before we talk about that, though, we got to talk about what we just did.
Mm-hmm.
How's that? So we'll start out on a high note.
Okay, yes,
right?
We'll start on a high
It's gonna
note,
be
and then we'll talk about some other stuff.
All right. So, if you've not been able to catch them, you will want to after this, because we just finished interview number 12.
I think so.
Earlier today.
Yes.
That's right. We did 11 back-to-back interviews of some of the most interesting people. No joking. I'm not being funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting and interesting topics at the GOP convention, and those can be found on Watch Kansas, and actually they can be found on different pages, because I think they've been spread out throughout. But the main page is Watch Kansas
and YouTube.
And
there may be one or two that we haven't had a chance to post to Watch Kansas.
Correct.
But they're all on YouTube.
There we go. Mm-hmm. And really good, really interesting people, and real interesting lives. Mm-hmm. They're doing things that I found extraordinary. What was it? 15,000 signs and 13,000 miles.
Oh, you're talking about Virginia, Coslin-Maka, the pop-up girls. Wow.
That was awesome.
That was
a good interview.
Sure. We talked about everything from human trafficking with Kim Borchers, who is the Republican National Committee woman.
And I said that correctly.
I think you did. Did I just say it correctly?
You did.
Okay, thank you. And we talked about... oh goodness, we talked with Chris Van Metteren of Singularis just about GOP, the current state of the party.
And he provides materials and everything for Republicans for their campaigns. Right?
Sure.
He's a campaign connoisseur, entrepreneur,
strategist, all
you
that.
name it, he does it. That was really good.
Sure, and so I'd hate to try to list them all, but we've got the 2 gubernatorial candidates who have filed. But what was the interview of the day? The
interview of the day. And I'm going to tell you what that was.
And we loved all our interviews.
They were good.
They were all great.
They were all great. Willie Dove.
Yeah.
Willie Dove was really great.
Love
Willie. Willie, we're going to be talking, bro. Yeah. All right, we're going to be talking. In fact, all of them, at some point in time, well, I say all, but the majority of them, we'll go back and we'll touch base with what's going on, where they're at. But back to the interview of the day. It was really cool. Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota was at the GOP convention. She was the main speaker, and we got the exclusive interview with her, and it was really good. Yes. And it was a lot of fun, even though we were really tired.
We were.
It was at the end of the day. My eyes were bugging just so I could stay focused.
But we pulled it together, and she was very gracious,
and
she was very generous with her time to come in, because she was busy and going from event to event at the convention, and she took the time to talk to little old us.
Talk to us, and it's one of those things where you gotta jump through some hoops to get there. But fortunately, we knew somebody who was on her staff, right?
Yes.
And so that was really cool. Met somebody. The first person I met, I'm not sure what her role is, but she was like this: "Who are you? Who are you?" Well,
But you won over with your charm.
Yeah, I know. And so, so I gave her the card. And I'm glad I brought him.
Yes, that was good.
It was a good idea. And so she took it, and then it was a couple of moments there where it was like, well, is it going to happen, or what are they going to do? I mean, we were talking governor's main speaker.
Right.
But did take the time. And so you're going to want to go see that one. She talked about being the only governor in the nation who didn't put out this stinking mask mandate, and how she stood alone in that process in regards to the governor. Now, she had all kinds of support within the state, but the other governors of the nation, some of which said that they were going to stand with her, didn't have the courage to do it, but she did.
But she did. So, yay.
Really loved
Governor Noem.
Yes. I listened to her. She was on Hannity's program a couple days ago, and was talking about a couple issues within the state, and talking about potential future endeavors.
Really?
If they were going to happen. She kind of, how.
I'm
focusing on this right now.
Right, never give a direct answer.
Exactly.
But we do know that she is suing the Biden administration.
That's right.
Because they pulled the plugs on the fireworks for this year's July 4th celebration. The fireworks over Mount Rushmore.
Because,
COVID.
COVID.
Yes.
COVID is kind of taken over the world. COVID, we can't do anything because of COVID. So, I think that's going to be my answer for everything. Anybody ask me a question?
COVID.
That's it. That's about all I'm going to say.
Well, speaking of COVID.
Speaking of COVID, how do you like the way we just kind of rolled into that? Was that good?
Segue. Yeah,
that
good
was
segue.
Good. Our episode 8, which had to do with COVID and the vaccinations, plural, and other information that we're not getting through the mainstream media. We're hearing everything's good, everything's safe. Big sign where I work telling everyone to go get it. Everywhere you hear, you got to get it, go get it. It's all good. You're going to do blah, blah, blah. However, there's another side to this, and that is the information that we were trying to share because as responsible adults, we want to make the best decision, but the only way you can do that is if you have all the information.
Right.
Well, we were giving the other side and the other information, which is really good, from experts, not from us, but from experts, people in the know who know what they're doing, what they're talking about, can break it down into bite-sized pieces so that you can understand it. And lo and behold, I think once we went ahead and put it out there on YouTube, it was there for
3 hours.
3 hours. And then it was pulled because according to YouTube, we did not meet community standards or we violated community standards. Nothing really specific on that.
Right.
But it was gone. So we took our video because we still want people to know, at least have this information. And again, it's expert information. Isn't a bunch of people, just running their mouths, people who know what they're talking about. We put it on BitChute. So you can find it, Watch Kansas on BitChute, and you will see episode 8. So along with that, we're working on the follow-up episode, part 2. We're going to do some of the same stuff, but we know better than to put it on YouTube because they don't want it. So we're going to take that one and put it on BitChute too.
Right.
And you can make up your own mind about it. There's a comment section at the bottom on all our videos.
Right.
There's a comment section. You can comment and say whatever you want and give feedback. We've had people that viewed them that are giving us other information. There's been a span of time between that one and the one we're going to do. So a lot's happened between then and now.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Maybe 3 weeks. And a lot more people, a lot more Americans have been vaccinated in that time. Yeah. And so you're right. We're responsible adults. And we should have the right to do our research, share our research, so that everyone can make an informed consent.
That's right.
And this is the way I would think of it. If you were going to buy a new truck, you would research the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Absolutely.
So say you've got it narrowed down to the Dodge Ram, the F-150, and Chevrolet, and you're going to do your research, and you want to see all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of them. And then say you decided you're really thinking about the F-150, and you're saying, but it's got an aluminum frame, and I'm not sure that I like that. It doesn't have a CD player, and it's got aluminum frame. But, looking at all things, that's the one I'm going to go with.
There you go. And that's the one you did go with.
And it's the one I did go with.
And I really like, she's got a really cool truck.
Thank you. And guess what? I'm such an old fogey. No vehicles have CD players anymore.
Well, older vehicles have CD players.
But the ones on the market, you can't get them anymore. So you see, but I knew that going into the purchase that I was going to have an aluminum frame and I wasn't going to have a CD player. And guess what? I still chose to get the F-150.
There you go.
So we're not doctors, nurses, medical personnel in any way. But
married to a nurse.
He is, yes. My husband's not a medical person.
He's still cool though.
But he's still cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Rhett?
That's right. Shout out to Rhett. But here's the deal. People might listen to the bad and the ugly that we're trying to tell everyone about so that they have a full picture, and still they might choose
to go ahead and
have the vaccine.
That's
and
right.
We're not telling anybody don't get it.
That's
we're
right.
saying make an informed decision.
And it's like with any purchase, if you think about it, you're talking about whether you're purchasing a home. I was thinking today, even small things, color shirt, style
Yes,
shirt, style suit.
sure.
You're going, and so it's really kind of baffling to me why the media doesn't want this other information out there.
Well,
they don't
have
want.
lots of theories.
Yes, we do. I know. I'm just kind of a, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But they're leaving it out, and so that people don't know. And I have had people that are just so bent on getting the vaccine, and it's like nothing else. And there's a lot of fear,
Yes.
as well as the fact that people aren't informed. But fear is a tool that's been used to cause people to forego getting any insight to just going out and get it. I've watched people run to go get the vaccine,
Sure.
and I don't know their mind, but I almost guaranteeing that the majority of them didn't know anything but what
The good that's being put out. The good, the good. Not the bad, not the ugly.
And I'm not so sure that it's good.
Well, you know what I'm
I know
saying.
what you're saying.
Right.
It frustrates me because
Right.
once you know, you know. There's no unknowing what you know. But I hear what you're saying. You're right. There's nothing else but the idea that you should do it, and everyone should do it. And we're going to go into it in the next one that we do next episode. But you think about just a couple of things, and we'll move on. With the recovery rate, is at what?
99.97%.
I have seen it and broken down in ages. That's the recovery rate, and it's broken down in ages, and we'll talk about that later. It just blows my mind if the recovery rate is so high, and once you've actually had COVID-19, you recover, your own immune system is made stronger by it. You've gained the antibodies and your immune, but yet getting the vaccine seems to be the answer, at least from
the CDC, and Anthony Fauci's view, and all of them.
Exactly. That's the way that we should go. And it's just one of these things where I'm going, and that's only one aspect of it. We're not gotten to the number of people who have had adverse reactions, the number of people who have died, and so on and so forth. But Sherry Tenpenny made an awesome statement when she said something to the effect, name me a product that's out there now that would have, let's say, 1,000 deaths, let's say 2,000 adverse reactions, and still be on the market.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
So I'm not going to say anything more because, we're going to save it, and the YouTube police might look at it and say, we need to get this off here. We're going to have to tell anybody that this stuff is going on. We don't want them to know that stuff. So we'll move on. But it's just one of those things where it was up 3 hours, and then we got canceled. And trust me, we wear that as a badge of honor, okay? Because being canceled must mean that we've done something that is good from our vantage point. Not so good for them and what they're wanting people to know. And that kind of is the trend in culture these days. And that is canceling anyone that speaks out against the narrative that's being put out there. And it's been going on for a while. You see it at different places, whether it's Hollywood. Hollywood is canceling, or you've got people who do what we do, put out a podcast and they're getting canceled. You've got individuals who stand up and say something separate from or against the narrative, and then they're canceled. And it just seems to be the trend to cancel people who have a different view that may be objectionable to you, but instead of either countering it with any information or with reason or with logic, we're just going to get rid of them.
But you know what, Tony? It's just like, have you ever, like you're a father, you've had an experience where your kids have maybe they've got something going on and you tolerate it, and then they push it, and they push it a little bit too far, and then you say, okay, that's it, we're done. Like maybe they just start running around the room. They're 5. They start running around the room. Okay, that's fine. And then maybe they start jumping. Okay, that's fine. Then they get on the bed and they're jumping, and you say, okay, that's it, stop.
I would get on the bed and jump.
You jump with them. Well, you know what I'm saying.
But
you know what I'm saying.
Start knocking stuff over.
Right.
Books and bases.
That's too far now. We've got to stop. We've got to pull it back. I think it's the same way with the cancel culture. That they started it and people didn't really speak up too much about it, and so of course that emboldened them. They keep going a little more. I think they've gotten to the point where they're jumping on the bed now. They've pushed it too far. Yeah. Americans are getting mad. We're done. We're done with the cancel culture stuff. And
I like to think so. I hear you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In one of our episodes or one of our interviews, I recall saying to somebody that at this point, they say so much now that no one's even listening, and it's just like, sticks and stones, whatever. You don't like what I said, and so you are calling me a name, whatever.
Yeah, it's like calling everybody a racist.
Yeah,
that's one that's been thrown around
so done
so much, so that if everything and everyone is a racist, then nothing and nobody is a racist.
That's right.
Because everything can't be, and every person cannot. They called Tim Scott some foul name a couple days ago, but I mean, it's just an ongoing process where you're a racist. I remember being in the House. Remember, we disagreed with giving in-state tuition to illegal aliens.
Oh, yes.
And that's a federal thing, too, not just a state thing.
Right.
And we were called racist, sexist, bigots, whatever else that they throw out there. And it just happens. And you're right, to a point where two things. One, it becomes an issue where people are tired of tolerating it. And I don't know where that's going to go. You're right. People are tired. They're not only jumping on the bed, they're knocking over the lamp, they're breaking glasses, they're, all kinds of crazy stuff is going on. Looting and robbing and burning, It was kind of interesting, that one interview where the reporter was saying it was a peaceful protest. This is a peaceful protest. The daggone building behind it is burning. It's such a peaceful protest. Let's go roll some marshmallows on the building burning behind you.
But that's how dumb they think Americans are.
You're right.
That we're not even going to. This is not a peaceful protest.
I couldn't stop laughing. I'm going, this guy is serious.
Wow, I know.
It's almost like, is that gaslighting? Is that similar to gaslighting, where what you're seeing and hearing, you're really, according to them, you're not really seeing it or hearing it? That
don't
kind of
trust your own eyes. Don't trust your ears.
Your own mind and things of that nature, and that because it's really not going on. But it's crazy because it really is.
It is.
So
I agree.
In episodes coming, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this whole woke nonsense that's happening, and it's even infiltrated the church. Churches have now. I had a pastor probably several months ago told me that I needed to get woke. I needed to get woke. No, seriously. And we were having a discussion over the election, and it was one of these things where they didn't like what I was saying, and so I needed to get woke, And I'm going, but it's infiltrated the church, and you've got people within the church that think, just like him, we need to get woke.
What would his definition of getting woke be?
Agreeing with the narrative that's being put out that all white people are racist. So, Terry, I'm just letting you know. All right?
Wow,
Up
Tony.
front. I don't want to hide it anymore.
Oh, I never knew.
I
never knew, and now you told me.
I told you, the cat's out of the bag.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
But one of the saddest things I saw was, I want to say it looked like a father and son. And they had this yoke around their neck.
Oh, I saw that. It was like their penance for being white.
And they were apologizing for being white.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here going, they're serious. And I'm going, what are you doing? This is insane.
Yes.
So it's all that stuff that's going on, and I believe it's purposeful. It's divisive. It's done nothing but create more problems. And when you look at trying to resolve issues, if what you're doing is creating more issues, it might be time to reevaluate what it is that you're doing or what you're wanting to accomplish. If you're wanting to unify people, then maybe you should do something to unify them versus divide them.
Right.
And so now, we're talking about being divided. There's a chasm between these two cultural viewpoints. So I want to talk about that. I want us to get into that. I know we still have some COVID stuff that we want to put out there, information that we want to put out there, but I want to come back and I want to hit these different issues because I think it's important. As a man, as a black man, I'm offended by some of the things that are going on. And I don't agree at all with this stuff. Like, for example, coming out of the mouth of LeBron James. I mean, are you serious? It's just unbelievable. And these people have a platform, they have power, they have money, they have influence.
And they think that we care what they think.
Exactly.
That's what gets me. Celebrities think that we care.
Yeah, I know. Did you watch the Oscars? I'm sure.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't watch it either. I didn't have to know what was going to happen.
No, so. And it had the lowest viewership ever.
Of course.
But you know what's a shame? I don't know why they do this to themselves. I have a friend, back in the day, even before our time, it was an event.
Yeah, it was.
And these people were not celebrities. They were movie stars.
Yeah.
And they were elegant and tasteful and you didn't know all the details of their lives. You saw just because y'all, movies, they're fiction. And I know. Unless it's a documentary, Tony, all that stuff that's on there that's not true. I know. I'm sorry to blow you. I'm sorry to blow your mind. The Martian, that didn't really happen. He didn't get stranded on Mars.
Really?
I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. You'll get it. It's okay.
I'll bounce back.
You will. But the movie stars back in the day, they were fiction, if you will, too. It was a fantasy, a very nice, benign fantasy of escapism into the movies and thinking about the stars, and you'd watch the Oscars and it was a lovely event. And so I have a friend who, in that spirit, she and her family for years would make sure that in the lead up to the actual Oscars, they would watch all of the movies that had been nominated, and then that night they would all get dressed up as if they were going.
Wow.
So she, her husband, the kids were talking evening gown, tuxedos, the whole bit. They
went all out
because it was family fun.
They throw out some red carpet?
Maybe.
Photographers?
Possibly. But now, it's like, why?
It's a joke.
It's been ruined and destroyed.
It is a joke.
What a shame.
It is. It's really sad. My dad, when he was in the military, one of the bases he was stationed at, he actually worked in the movie theater. And so there was a couple of things that happened. Number one, we went to the movies all the time.
Fun.
It was fun. There's probably some things as young kids we probably shouldn't have seen, but all the time. The second thing is we were up in the booth with them. So it was at the time where they had the reel to reel, and then you watch when there's spots that would show up on the screen, which tell you when the reel's going to be changed and all that. It was really, and I'm looking back at those days and the movie at the time and how they were really great. They were really good. There wasn't this subtle message inside of it, PC, political correctness, whatever, inside the movie.
I know.
This message, and anymore, that's what you get. Oh, we got to be political, so we got to have the black guy, we got to have the gay guy, we got to have the gay girl, we got to have every ethnicity in the movie, because without that, it won't be right. Oh, but you got to throw in some transgender nonsense in there as well, and then we can make a movie, and it's a joke.
Sure, because it's no longer about telling a story.
No.
Now it's about telling a narrative.
A narrative,
now
a political narrative.
Preaching to us.
Yeah.
So I was in a little bit of a dilemma. I mean, not major dilemma, but there's so little on TV anymore that my family and I care to watch. Yeah. And one of the things that we watched were it was the remake of MacGyver. And
you're telling me.
Yeah. And so a few episodes ago, now this show had been a perfectly nice, escapist, action adventure show.
They blew it, didn't they?
Yep. NBC hired, because I did my research afterwards, I was so irritated. NBC had hired a consultant to help put, all of this narrative into many of the NBC shows. And, And so it was so unnatural. They're in the middle of this action adventure scene, and then MacGyver says to one of the other characters, "Oh, this weekend I had a little bit of extra time, so I went to one of the rallies." And then she says, "Really? What kind of rally?" "Well, the BLM rally, of course."
A what?
The BLM.
Oh, BLM.
BLM.
Yes, of course.
Black Lives Matter rally.
Yes.
And then in the middle of this action scene, they just stop and they just have this little conversation. I'm like, are you kidding? And so I was so irritated. I told the family, okay, I'm done. I don't need to watch this show anymore. Yeah. And so, my dilemma was that my mom still wanted to watch it. Sure. But it turns out it's no longer a dilemma because you know what? Last night was the series finale.
It's over. It's done with.
It's done.
Well, I guarantee you, if you notice, and I don't watch a lot of TV either because you're right. There's not much. There's really not much to watch. Well, I'll put it. There's not much on it that I want to watch. I mean, I'm sure people are watching some of that stuff. Yeah. But all of it, I say all, but just like MacGyver changed and became politically correct in what they do and started inviting all these different things in there. It just takes away from the show itself, and so viewership goes down. And I don't know how these studios, producers, or whatever else manage to hang on. I mean, don't understand it. It's the same thing with sports. When they went ahead and started doing all this BLM nonsense, and I say nonsense because it is nonsense. And in fact, if you look at now, you don't have to look too far because you have the people, the organizers of this group BLM, who went out and purchased another home. There's questions. I think there's even an investigation as to what's happening with these millions and millions of dollars that they've been getting.
But that's all been suppressed.
Sure.
Our viewers may not know that she bought like four houses for a total of, I don't know, millions of dollars. $4.1 million
for her family, though.
Yes.
Because she wants to look out for her family.
So all the people who send in money to BLM, you bought her house.
That's right.
And all
hope you're happy.
Yeah, really. All the organizations and the companies. There's one company that I wrote a letter to and I said, I'm done. I have subscribed to your magazine. I have watched you on HGTV. I have bought your book. Yeah, well, when I found out, when they emailed me, I'm just sitting in my house minding my own business, and I get an email from them saying, oh, basically we're woke. You should be woke too. And we've donated, $100,000 to BLM and all this. I got so irritated. I wrote them a letter. They didn't bother to write back, but we're done. No more money from my household goes toward them, and I don't watch their show anymore. And
I think that's happened more and more and more. Major League Baseball's going through it. Obviously, NBA's gone through it. NFL has gone through it. So we'll see what happens as this continues to go on. What the response is of just the average citizen, and from what I gather and what I've seen, people they're just fed up with it. They're tired of it all the way around. We'll go to sports to get away from things. We go to movies and TV shows to get away from stuff. We don't need that political narrative inserted into a program because it does nothing.
So Coca-Cola.
For us.
You remember?
That's another one.
I'd like to buy the World Coke. You remember all the harmony?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's now, it is. So Coke is another one.
Yeah.
And don't think you're drinking Pepsi because Pepsi's also.
And she drinks Coke.
I
did?
You're
a Coke person, right?
I'm definitely Coke over Pepsi flavor. But of course, I've tried.
But my point in saying that is, you're saying no more.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. I don't need Coke. Yeah. I don't need to give money to any of the businesses who are then telling me what to think politically.
Gillette did that too.
Yeah. Why can't Gillette just sell razors?
I know.
Why can't Coke just sell their beverage and stay out of all this stuff?
I know.
That's what irritates me. And so all those companies that have donated money to BLM and other causes, they're just now buying that woman her $1 million
homes. That's right. And she's got 4 of them. So it's really awful in one sense. It's really ugly in one sense, and it's really kind of sickening to sit and watch our country go down, spiral down like it has. And so something has to give, something has to change. How that's all going to happen, it's going to be interesting to watch how this all plays out. But I do believe that there will be more and more people who are saying enough with all this stuff and stop, just like you and I do. We're just like no more, and then we'll see what these companies.
That's exactly right. Just imagine if everybody who was sick and tired of, say, whatever banks, some of these big banks,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing all kinds of crazy stuff. What if everyone within the sound of our voices who banks with one of these banks, and there are a lot of these big banks are really involved with all this stuff.
Sure they are.
What if they just Monday morning went and withdrew all their money?
Sure.
And what if everyone today just stopped drinking Coke or Pepsi or any of the other multitude of products and companies? If we have the power.
Yeah, and I think that's
we
something.
the people have the power, and we need to stand together. And I will just tell you one thing that will brighten your day. More and more, my husband and I are getting contacted by people out of the blue and saying, the time has come for me to get involved. What can I do?
Excellent. You're right. I think that's what it's going to take. And by the way, Joe Biden, we the people is not the government.
Yeah.
Okay. How did that come together? We the people and the government. No. You're going to find out who we the people are.
Right.
As people begin to say no more, rise up, and want to step in to do so, whether running for office, getting involved in some group that's going to stand up against the onslaught. Education's huge. We got a lot of parents who are upset with what's happening with education. It's been going on for a long time. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot to watch over the next, let's say the next 2 years, but even more day to day. I stopped asking, wow, what strange and wild and crazy thing am I going to wake up to today?
Oh.
Because when I do get it's always something that's absolutely
I know. It makes me want to just not, look. But we can't do that.
Yeah, we have to.
We
pay
cannot
attention.
bury our heads in the
That's
sand.
right.
We have got to know what's going on.
And we're not, and we don't, and we refuse to do that.
We're not
so
going
we're
away.
asking you to refuse to do that, and do what you can to get informed and get involved in some form or fashion with something or someone, a group that's going to stand up against the left-wing narrative. So yes, so we're going to be talking about all this cancel stuff, and our next episode is going to be specifically related to more information on COVID, and then we're going to start springboarding off of some of these issues in between. One new thing that I'm looking at and in development, I call it the Mock Force Minute. And what I want to be able to do is throughout the week, because we try to do this as a weekly thing, had a couple issues this last time because of all the other things that were going on, but to be able to step in and share some things on the regular basis prior to our big program, so that we're at least staying current and able to interject as things go on. I would love to be able to do or say something in regards to what happened to Tim Scott, what he shared after whatever it was that Joe Biden did was fantastic, and he was right on, and so appreciate him standing strong. One of my heroes is Clarence Thomas. He had a documentary that was, I believe it was on, I want to say Prime or Amazon. I think that was the company that had it out. It ended up getting pulled, from what I understood. Stan, after I had watched it before it got pulled, but it was just tremendous. And I sit back and go, some of these guys and gals that have, laid down their lives in extraordinary ways through extraordinary circumstances, and have reached, incredible heights. These are the individuals that we need to be, having in front of the kids, inspiring to be,
those are
telling
role
people
models.
about. They are the role models, not some of these knuckleheads, million dollar athletes that are saying, China's great, right?
Yeah,
I'll leave it alone for right now,
Okay.
because I can just go on. So, did I cover everything?
I think you did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And so we're gonna close this one out. And again, if you want to see any of our interviews, go to YouTube, go to Watch Kansas. You'll see them. There's the 12th one was done today. It'll be up here shortly. Just stay tuned in. Leave us a message, comment. They're always good. And invite your friends to be a part of what we're doing here. So until next time, be courageous.
The virus remains active on different surfaces for 2 hours or 4 hours. or 6 hours, but in most cases it's days and not hours, and it needs a damp environment or a cold environment that is warm and dry in the air, unless the air is plastic. Schools are closed, so you need to homeschool your children unless you can send them to school because you are not home. If you are at home, you can school your children using various portals and online classrooms unless you have poor internet, more than one child, only one computer, or you are working from home. Baking cakes can be considered math, science, or art. If you are home educating, you can include household chores within their education curriculum. And if you are home educating, you may start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. every day. If you are not home educating children, you may also start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. Masks are useless at protecting you against the virus, but you still need to wear one because it can save lives. And in some cases, it may even be mandatory, but also maybe not. You must not go to work, but you can get another job, at which point you may go to work. Stay home. I don't know how many more celebrities we need to have tell you how important it is to go outside and take care of your mental health. There is no shortage of groceries in the supermarket. There are simply many things missing. You don't need to go buy a bunch of toilet paper, but you should buy some in case you need it. If you are sick, you may go out once you are better, but those in your household, they cannot go out once you are better unless, of course, they need to go out. Animals are not affected by the virus, except for that cat that tested positive in Belgium in February, plus a couple tigers. The number of corona-related deaths will be announced daily, but we don't know how many people are infected because we were only testing those who are almost dead to determine if that's what they will die of. The people who die of corona who are not counted won't or will be counted, but maybe not. To help protect yourself during these times, you should be eating well and exercising, but exercising only eating what you have at home to avoid going to the stores unless you need toilet paper or a fence panel. It's important to get fresh air, but don't go to parks, but do go walk in other places. Just don't sit down unless you are old or pregnant. But if you do sit down, don't sit for too long. Unless you are old and you are pregnant, in which case you need to sit down. But if you do sit down, don't eat unless you've had a long walk, which you are allowed to do if you are old or pregnant, except for times in which you aren't. Don't visit old people, but you have a moral obligation to take care of old people and bring them food and medicine. And finally, no businesses will go down due to coronavirus except those businesses that go down due to COVID-19. I hope this cleared up any questions about what we should and should not be doing during this time. Please educate your friends and family with this information so we can